if you tried to get to Gen Con this year, you may have had some trouble getting a hotel room.
Yes, a lot of trouble in years past as well, but it's gotten worse. Apparently, over the past 5 years, the amount of hotel rooms available in Indianapolis has dropped by over 1,000.
That's significant.
1,000 rooms, and the biggest reason of this is, these hotels, a lot of them are being converted into other things. Some of them classrooms, apartment buildings, all kinds of things. And a lot of people, especially Gen Con people.
And there was another big event I remember in the article they mentioned.
Yeah, was it like a racing thing or something, a Grand Prix thing? Oh, that would make sense, Indianapolis. Are upset about this. They want, because obviously the less hotel rooms you have, the less people can get there, or it's harder for them to just get there.
Yeah, so the farther and farther you got away. I mean, we had our own issues that were fun.
Yeah, well, we are always struggling to get the best, closest one that we can. It's always, when you have a ticket to Gen Con, it's like a race. They have like the lottery system and whatever it is to try and get a room. It's real complicated. Certainly more rooms would be a help. And even besides Gen Con's, probably the biggest, maybe not, I don't know. It's definitely up there though, that Indianapolis has. But they have, that convention center is huge, and they have conventions there all the time. So hopefully, it's people, at least we know it's a thing that people are concerned about and talking about. So hopefully we'll get that. I don't know how fast they can get it though, because it takes a while to build a hotel. Like, we might not be able to see any actual change in that department for years.
Well, the other thing that they're worried about is, because we mentioned this a while ago, that their contract for Indianapolis is expiring.
Right.
In the next few years.
And
so if they don't do anything with the hotel problem, they may be like, look, we need a place that has more hotels. You just aren't giving us that support. So
that's true. That's an interesting thought.
So it's going to be definitely interesting to see in a few years. Until then, we're going to be waiting at the computer, hoping to God we don't get a 3 o'clock check-in like last time.
Yeah. And next year, Gen Con it's the 50th one.
Oh, that's
very exciting, and it's late too. It's August 17th, so it'll be a different kind of vibe.
Hopefully, everyone will be back in school already.
Yeah. They actually might. I bet a decent amount of people will be. That's where we have the advantage, by not having any lives or any things to do. But we will see. That is Gen Con. Gen Con is not the only board game convention in the world.
No. Really?
No. It's a common misconception that it is. Of course, it's a big worldwide. Essen, the other biggest one. Just recently, the first ever board game convention was held in Africa, at least that we know of, in Nigeria specifically, but perhaps in all of Africa, which is pretty cool. It was organized by this guy who has this company, I think it's called KC Games, and they're talking about, it wasn't a large affair to like Gen Con was, but it's just their original games by African board game designers who live in that area. And we always talk about how, like we've talked about it before with, I know, the Japanese market, how we really appreciate seeing games come in from outside the standard, basically America or
Western,
Germany, or there's some France, is really interesting. Just because there's, I think you don't think about it as much with board games as you do with movies or narrative media, but there is a different perspective there, different kinds of experiences that can be translated to board games. I think they specifically were talking about one that was supposed to, relate the experience of living in Nigeria and stuff like that, which is a really interesting thing, and I think board games will bring about world peace. What about you?
I think in all forms of media, not just board games, but since it's board game, that's the one we're most important about. I really do think we need to take advantage of taking, not redoing like what movies do. The movies are doing the wrong lesson, but seeing movies from other cultures or games and stuff, because they can bring new perspectives, more interesting styles. We're not forced to just play a reskin version of Ticket to Ride or a reboot of a movie we've seen 50 times that we know is already done well and doesn't need to be seen again.
I know we always get excited when there's any game that's about mythology that isn't Greek.
Isn't Greek
or Roman, or same thing.
Like Greek, Egyptian,
Right.
or like
The Bible.
well, no, that one because you don't see the
You really
good ones
don't see
well.
that
So
too
that one
much.
actually is nearly
Yeah, but when it's like, oh, some crazy, gods that we just aren't familiar with, or any kind of mythology like demons.
We'll be getting back to the gods.
We'll get back to it all. Everything comes around. This is an international show too. Wait for our comments section.
Oh boy.
But yeah, it's always cool to experience the different cultures coming through. And
Well, not only that, just knowing like how much joy we get from board games in general, just to know that people are starting to get. I mean, like you mentioned earlier, it's not a Gen Con thing, but I don't think Gen Con was as big as Gen Con was when it first started.
oh, well, that's very
So,
true.
I'm just happy to maybe even get the ball rolling, to sort of spread the influence and stuff, and I think that everyone should. be able
Yeah,
to-
it's pretty cool because I feel like most people just don't think about we like, well, maybe it's just me, but I know I'm ignorant and uneducated like a lot of Americans, and I'm like, oh yeah, board games come from a factory in China that gets sent there by a German guy, and I'm not like it'd be great to see more of a presence from many different cultures instead to have that there.